Welcome everyone to your very last session of the day. I'm going to be presenting about the big picture element or responsive images in Drupal 8. Also, how many of you just attended the paragraphs session? Yeah, this is going to look familiar. Okay. So I'm going to go over a slide on who I am. And then I'm going to talk to you all about the responsive image module, why you should use it, when it's useful, and how you should set it up. Who am I? That's me. I'm Nichole Frazier. I work at Oomph. You can see a lot of my team right over here. And I'm a UX engineer or a front-end developer, both. That's my dog, Puck. Remember that face? I hope you think it's cute. You're going to see it a few more times. This is the company I work at, Oomph. We create digital experiences with passion and purpose. We're also driven, smart, and personal. We make websites with Drupal and WordPress. Mostly Drupal right now. We're also hiring. So if any of you talented, lovely people would like to come and work with us and share your wonderful talents, talk to one of us, any one of us that looks like this shirt, and we can see if we can find something for you to do. Okay, so what is the responsive images module? You guys can really hear every tap. Responsive image module is a new module in Drupal 8 that ships with core. There was a version of this in Drupal 7, but the Drupal 8 version is a little different and comes on default. And what it does is it allows you to load multiple sizes or styles of a single image based on media queries or screen width, which is pretty awesome because when we're designing, we want to display beautiful images like these on large screens with retina sizes, and we can go ahead and put like a 1200 pixel or even a 2400 pixel image on those big screens, and we can still serve up a 300 pixel image down here. So all of you with data plans that are not unlimited, that means something. Why should we use it? Size matters. This is from a study that I found on the internet, and I'm sure that I don't have to convince too many of you that our image sizes are a big deal. While a number of factors can determine the overall weight in the size of a web page, images are generally the principal contributor. This is particularly true for responsive websites, which generally serve the same content to all devices and can lead to overly large images being served to mobile devices. This is a little chart that came with that study, which shows you that about 60% of your page weight is actually coming from your images alone. So if you can do something to reduce that size, even if it's just for your mobile users, it makes a big deal. And if that doesn't convince you, the average web page is now the size of the original Doom game. And the web is doomed. If anyone's curious, that size is actually 2.39 megabytes. When are responsive images useful? Always. But especially for viewport sizing and art direction. And I'm going to go into those a little bit more, but those are the two ways that you're going to go about responsive images in Drupal 8. Viewport sizing, in its basic, just means serving up basically the same image, but you want that 2400 pixel one on a huge screen, and you want a 300 pixel one on mobile. It's just putting in those sizes and saying, at this breakpoint, I want this image. I don't need something huge here, but I do here. Art direction, on the other hand, will allow you to choose a completely different image style at each breakpoint. So if for whatever reason I wanted a black and white image on a really big screen, a normal image on a desktop, a sideways image on tablet, and a teenier image on mobile, I could do that. I'm not sure why you would, but you can choose your crops and you can use any of the styles that come with image styles in Drupal already and apply them at the different breakpoints, which is cool. And to what Pico would like to call the money slide. Yeah. How do we set it up? So I'm going to go through a real beginner's tutorial on image styles, because when I got to Drupal, I didn't even know what the normal image styles were. And people kept saying, you didn't set up the image styles on the site. You didn't set them up on the site. And I'm like, what are you talking about? There's CSS for the images. What are image styles? So I'm going to do this for dummies because I wish someone did it for me. And when you start off with responsive images, you're going to have to enable the module. You're going to have to create normal image styles first. And then I'm going to show you how to create a responsive image for viewport styles or for art direction, and then how to apply it afterwards. Okay, so step one, enabling the module. Seems like an easy thing. You guys probably have all enabled the module, but just in case and for clarity, you're going to go to the extend page in the configuration of Drupal 8, and you're going to find the one that says responsive image, and you're going to check it off, hit install, and it's enabled. Cool. If you don't do that, you're going to go through and you're going to say, where's all of this responsive stuff you told me about? It's not here. Can't do it. Okay, creating the normal image styles. Now this is stuff that, I mean, most of you are probably familiar with, especially if you've made a Drupal 7 site before. To set up the basic image styles, you just go into configuration and media, and you can make a style, and you have all of those effects that you see listed there available to you. So you can convert it into another file extension if you want to. You can change it to black and white. You can adjust the crop. You can shrink it. You can do just about anything you want. My favorite and go-to is scale and crop, but they're all available. Now, when you go to create a responsive image for viewport styles, it's easiest because you don't want to change it. You don't want it to have different crops at different places. All you have to do is go to create a responsive image style. And you'll notice when you get there that there is a breakpoint group, which ties into Drupal 8 theming, and there are a number of options available there, but when you only want to do viewport sizing, you can just choose responsive image. A little bit of a quirk that I've noticed putting in Drupal 8 responsive images stuff so far, if you don't, the responsive image will be selected by default here, but it won't show you that block underneath for whatever reason, unless you click on that box and click responsive image again. So if you get here and you say there's nothing for me to set up, that's why. So after you go here and you choose that for your breakpoint group, you get to start choosing when you want what size images. So you'll notice that below that, all the image styles are available. That's what we just created. So you could have gone in and created, what's shown here is just the defaults that exist, but you could have gone and created all of the different ones for the breakpoints that would coincide with your theme, or basically whenever you think it's appropriate to start adjusting content. You can be as minimal or as crazy here as you want to be. You could do just one breakpoint and say, you know what, mobile and tablet people get this size, desktop and up, you get the big one. It would make a big difference even at that effort level. I go nuts and I have 7 breakpoints, but you don't need them. And to do it here, it's pretty simple. If you've written a media query before, you can write it the same way right into that box. What you're putting in these parentheses here is the width that you want it to break at. So you always want to write these styles from largest to smallest. The last thing there, it's kind of the opposite of mobile first, it's desktop first. The last thing there is the smallest one that's going to get called. So I'm saying right here at a min width of 1200 pixels screen width, I want to fill in a 600 pixel image. you can write these, you can use pixels, EMs, or VWs. You cannot use the percentage. Drupal prefers that you use VW because it takes the overall screen width percentage rather than just a percentage of whatever container. So you can use them all interchangeably. I tried to show that here. You can use 1200 pixels, you can use 40 EM. You could also say 40 EM with a 40 EM image if you wanted to, or a 100 VW image. You can get really specific here, but the point is this only takes a few minutes to write out, and as long as you have the styles to support it, it's a quick way to start reducing the image styles on the front end in just a few minutes. At the bottom there, you'll notice there's also a fallback image style. If for whatever reason the browser that someone is working with doesn't have support for the source set image, they'll receive that size image. And now to create one for art direction, it's pretty similar. You go to the same place to create a responsive image style, but instead of using that responsive image breakpoint group, you're going to use one from your theme. You guys all still here? Okay, so in Drupal 8, you're probably hearing a lot about YAML files and setting up your theme and how all that works out. Along with setting up libraries and all of that, you can also set up your breakpoints. It's optional, but if you're going to use this responsive image feature for art direction, that's what you're going to need to do. This is an example here from a project that I was working on recently where you can see I went a little nuts with my breakpoints. But what I really want to note here are a couple of things. When you put this together, in the multiplier section that you see there, here, you can say 1x, but you can also say 1.5 and 2x in addition to that, which is going to allow you to not only set an image, but to also set the Retina version of that image and have that call in when someone's looking at it on a Retina screen. So when you set this gigantic Retina image, it's only going to show for the people that it actually applies to, rather than making every single user pull down that giant image, which is really neat. The other thing that you should take note of here is the weight. It's less important the order with which you write these in, and more important the weight that you specify, because that's how Drupal will read it. I don't know why you would want to write them out of order, but if for whatever reason you did, just make sure your weight is set in order that you want them to be read. Okay, so I'm just going to run through an example of setting up art direction now. So you're going to get there and you're going to choose your theme. And you can see that all of these sizes that I had on the previous screen are now showing up here. And this is what it looks like when I expand them. I still have the same option that I had with responsive image, so you could start writing media queries right within these if you wanted to. But you can also do the other choice, which is to select a single image style, which is going to go back to the stuff we created before. So if you wanted to, whoa, sorry guys. That's my dog. Can't get back. Someone help me. I'm kidding. If you wanted to create the exact image sizes you need at each breakpoint and then their double size Retina version, you can do that. And that's what I prefer to do. So here I've created an extra large image for my 1600 pixel width, but I've also created an image style that's double that. So my Retina users are going to get the double width image. Okay, so now that we have made our style, we get to apply it. And you can apply this just the same way that you would apply a normal image style. You can do so under Manage Display. Right on the image field where you would normally apply an image, you can choose responsive image. And then after you set that, you can go into the little settings gear that's usually over here and choose the image style that we just made. And then you can still link it however you would have a normal image. And you can also do it with views. So in views, you would just click on your field, and in the formatter, instead of image, you want to choose responsive image. Another quirk that I noticed here, the first time that I used responsive images, if you choose responsive image and the style you want pops up immediately and you save it thinking everything is well, it's not going to work. It took me a while to figure out why. I actually thought for a bit that it didn't work with these at all. It turns out that you just have to click on that box and select it again, and it starts to function. I'm not sure what it is. It's maybe something with the Ajax and Drupal 8, but hopefully that saves one of you the time that I had to find. Questions? I don't.
Sorry, I'm a little slow. With the multipliers, is there any consideration for the size of the original image? Like, for example, if the original image is smaller than the size of the multiplied version, would it not multiply it rather than creating a larger image than, you know what I mean? Because it would just be stretching it and making it nasty.
Sure. So you're going to set what the multipliers are supposed to pull in, right? So when we chose, we want to set 1x, 1.5, and 2x on an image style. Let me go back and then we can just look at this really quick again. So like here, I'm choosing, let's point. I'm choosing the 1x version here, but I'm choosing my 2x version here. So what's going to happen is if I choose an image style for scale and crop and the image is too small for like the huge one, you know, it's going to just probably put out the largest size that fits that crop. It's kind of going to be like responsible on the users and the maintainers to say, you know, we need an image this big. But that's what would happen. So it would just follow into whatever image style that you put together for those different multipliers. And if you had the 1.5, it would have shown up there as well. So you get to choose how that's going to work. So no, it wouldn't like stretch and pixelate it. It would just be as large as it could be. Did that answer your question?
Thank you.
I have two questions, and you might have already answered one, but just to verify. So in the YAML file, you had 7 like records, and for each one you had like 1x, 2x. So when you go to the configuration page, you are going to see like the number of records, and for each one, the number of times that you had the multiplier. So you get to choose, like in this case, 14 different options.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And the other question is, if you should, like in the first example where you only have that one, right? So how do you associate the media query with the image style that you want to use?
Okay, that's a good question. So the image is actually being a little bit smart here. I've set some arbitrary image styles below that don't necessarily coordinate with what I wrote in that box. But say that you wrote out min width 1200 pixels and you set 1200 pixels for your image width that you wanted there. If you had a 1200 pixel image displayed below, checked off, that's the one that it would grab. So it's a little bit, it picks it for you based on what you're requiring in that next. So in the min width, you're saying your screen, and then that next number is, I want an image of this size when the screen is this big. And then it's on you to enable some images below that would coordinate with that. And then the image is smart enough to pull the correct one.
Okay, but in this example, I have checked 4 things, and I only specify 3. Like.
Yeah, that was confusing on my part.
Okay.
Anybody else? All right, cool. Well, thank you.